Welcome back to GA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I'm delighted to be joined here once again by John McMahon from the JMac Podcast. We're here obviously to review all the weekend's action in Gaelic football across the 4 different national football leagues, obviously, that took place at the weekend. I suppose, John, there was a whole heap of action really across the entire country. I mean, from Division 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, there was so much going on. How did you manage with all the games? I mean, there was just so much going on altogether.
Thanks, Aaron, for having me on the show again. It's a privilege as always. It's absolutely fantastic to have it back, to be honest, Aaron. And like herself was laughing at me there. I was saying to my mate, "Oh, geez, it's great to have it back. You can plan your weekends around it. You can have a couple of beers, you can do this," and she was laughing. But it's the absolute truth, Aaron. I am like a kid at Christmas every weekend coming up now, and it's brilliant. And obviously ourselves getting the win. Great to get back on the horse, and just delighted to have it back, Aaron, because like as a kid, like I've said this to you numerous times, there's only so much soccer you can watch. And to be honest with you, I was nearly happy to see the back of the Premier League yesterday, and that's it, done for another season and bye. So I don't know, like it was great. The Dublin game was fantastic. Just the quality, the standard of football, and everything at the minute. The league has had a fantastic start, and just it's been brilliant. Just brilliant to have it back.
100%, yeah. Like, and in total, like, we've seen 43 goals this weekend, and I didn't have a look back or anything, but I don't know if there's been a weekend where we've seen more goals in the National Football League. And I don't know if it's down to the new rules maybe that have come in, and the fact there's more penalties and everything else. But I mean, there was just so much action, so many goals, like all across the 4 different divisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose if it can continue like that, it'd be absolutely brilliant. It makes you think nearly, is there much kind of defending going on, or is there more kind of forward coaching being played, and utilizing the forwards and the magic forwards we have around the country? But so many goals, loads of goals. Conor McCarthy, a hat-trick from Monaghan at the weekend. Obviously, Cormac Costello producing the goods, Conor Callahan, and just brilliant to see. It just goes to show county teams are willing to take risks this year so far, and it's brilliant. And geez, long may it continue, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose we'll start by looking obviously at that Kerry and Dublin game, obviously in Division 1 South. Kerry obviously 4-9, or Dublin 4-9, Kerry 1-18. There were so many goals that I'm nearly losing my train of thought. But what were your thoughts on the game anyway? It was definitely probably a contender for game of the year anyways so far.
Yeah, without a doubt. I was watching a group of people, and they couldn't really believe their eyes. It was so exciting at the end. Goals galore, and you really did not know what way that game was going to go. An absolutely brilliant advertisement for football. Dublin were put to the pin of the collars. Obviously another great performance by Lysa Khan and Cormac Costello, and it was just great to see such an attacking, nice brand of football. None of this defensive stuff, too natural football and teams going at it. It was just brilliant to see. From a Kerry perspective, obviously David Clifford came up with the goods in the second half, obviously with the penalty at the end. I suppose maybe the discipline on both teams wasn't fantastic. I think Philly McMahon giving away the penalty at the end, for I suppose the experience that man has, for him to do that, I suppose obviously it looked like a goal was on, and I suppose he had no other option. But little bits like that, probably Dublin should be concerned about. John Small going off injured as well. That's probably a big concern for Desi when he comes back from his sun holidays. Me and you were looped off there. But so yeah, lots to talk about. And it was just a fantastic game. You're probably looking at the 2 teams that will be competing for the All-Ireland this year. Kerry look like they've got their house in order. And just a great advertisement for Gaelic football, and it just had everything, Aaron. It was super.
Yeah, and I suppose because even in the second half as well, like, it was interesting, I suppose, to see that. I suppose in the first half, obviously Kerry were definitely kind of playing that more. They seemed to go into that defensive shell that I suppose they received a lot of criticism for, and we kind of seen that at the start of the second half, and then they really just pushed up and really kind of caused loads of problems for Dublin. Like, we were surprised to see Dublin, I suppose, have some of those issues that they had, because they only scored 1-2 in that in the entirety of that second half. And normally that's usually the time where Dublin pull away and use their experience. So what do you reckon yourself?
Yeah, like, in fairness, there's a lot being said about this Kerry defence. I think they done pretty good yesterday. Dublin's what was it, 1-2, 1-3 in the second half just was not like them at all, and it was very weird. And it's not like for a want of trying, it wasn't for a lack of forwards that they have. it's nearly they're off the mindset that nearly didn't need to kind of push on and try win the game. And look what happened; it kind of cost them. And another interesting thing as well, and I noticed there yesterday, Dublin seemed to be using the high ball in. I see Niall Scully pumping high balls in as well. So obviously, if that's a new tactic Dublin are going with, it's working for them because my God, they've the forwards to do it, and they'll be probably doing that this year. Niall Scully had a great game again yesterday. I think he was the man of the match. He was probably my man of the match, to be fair. He got on so much ball, and it's mad. I think a lot of people are still starting to notice his actual influence on the Dublin team this year and for the year gone in as well. So yeah, a good game. I think Dublin really probably should have pushed on in the second half. It wasn't like them. It's there like someone said at halftime, right, lads, get us a draw so we can keep our fans and everyone entertained for the rest of the year. So, but look, at Dublin, probably a lot to probably work on, and it's nearly funny to be saying that. There's a few wee things that probably do need to sort out, maybe defensively, but they're absolutely fine going up front at the minute. But then you look at it too. Kerry were very slack at the back, maybe for that Conor Callan goal. Like Scully, like it was nearly something you'd see in a junior B game. The ball was pumped in. Callan got it, turned his man, and literally just put it in the back of the net. Just he probably couldn't believe his luck. Some of the goals, Kerry probably still have a lot to do defensively, a lot to work on. But just a lovely open game of football, and it was great, Aaron. Really,
Yeah, 100%. I definitely think there's still a few defensive issues definitely in that Kerry camp, and you could definitely see it in the first half, all right, because there was one stage even where it looked like Dublin could even score maybe 4 or 5 goals. And like, I know for myself coming out of a Dublin fan, or like coming out as a Dublin fan, I'm kind of thinking, how on earth did we not win that game? Because we looked certain to win it at different points in that game, and in the end, I suppose the late Clifford penalty, I suppose, to make it a draw.
Yeah, definitely. And you did have opportunities to kind of finish off the game, but maybe when you look at it, like the likes of Brian Fenton was weirdly quiet yesterday. And
yeah, he played one or two straight passes. Yeah,
one or two straight passes, and maybe it was just kind of quiet compared to days gone by. And obviously, okay, we've a long year ahead of us as well, so he'll definitely kind of buck up his act. There's no doubt he will. But yeah, no, Dublin definitely could have finished off the game. But then when you kind of think about it, did Kerry want it that bit more than Dublin in stages? Kerry's drive was very good. The went at your back line. You've seen halfbacks getting up the pitch, scoring points. I think Paul Murphy got a point later on as well. And, the desire from Kerry was very, very good at the end. And it just really threw the kitchen sink at you. It's clearly Dublin are so comfortable in games and they think they'll just to win the majority of the games. But it gets their stage that they think, right, do we actually need to put in that effort sometimes because we think we have the game won and they're so far ahead. But Kerry, just at the end, I think wanted it that bit more. They got the penalty at the end. Clifford took it away and just got the draw out of it. But definitely Dublin had opportunities to finish off that game. Kicked a couple of wides as well. I think Kenny kicked a few wides too. So yeah, like you wouldn't I think I was listening to Anthony Moyles there and off the ball there this morning, and you nearly laugh. But Dublin, you have a bit to work on, I think.
yeah, I know. Like, who would have thought it? The Dubs are actually human. They're not just machines and they're not just robots. Like, we do have mistakes and we do have errors. And I remember even saying that last year. Like, there is holes there, and I feel like it's more Dublin men that are because obviously you had Kieran Whelan on your podcast and he was kind of saying that as well. Like, I suppose at the end of the day, there is holes there and there is some weaknesses in that Dublin team.
There is. Of course there is. But it's like anything else. They're that much a professional setup. They'll work on these mistakes. They'll work on these wee errors they had at the weekend. They will be so intent on righting any wrong this week, and they'll just brush up on anything they might have had mistakes in. So, we're saying this now on a Monday evening. You come the weekend now, and Dublin will be just blow it out of the water this weekend and be unbelievable. But there's probably a couple of things you could probably look at. The likes of Small, that's a hamstring. You're talking 6 to 8 weeks, probably out potentially for the rest of the season. So yeah, even things like that. But it's just kind of it's a funny thing because like obviously the forwards did do so well and the moved so well, but at the grand scheme of things, as I said at the start a couple of seconds ago, Dublin will brush up on any mistakes that they made at the weekend, and look, they probably will have Galway's number this weekend,
Yeah, and I suppose looking at Galway, obviously they beat Roscommon 216 to 113. I suppose a lot of criticism obviously at Galway at the moment, obviously after that defeat to Kerry, but I suppose a strong way to bounce back with a win over their Connacht rivals.
Yeah, really, really good. I caught glimpses of it there in the Sunday game yesterday, and I think Park Joyce would be very happy. Jeez, I like the fellas like Kevin McGurty, and a lot of kind of strong criticism on Park Joyce in the last couple of weeks, and I think he he bit back very well at the weekend. A very tight game, high scoring again, what we want to see from a Galway team. But and I don't know, did you hear this? I think did Shane Walsh pick up an injury as well? I think as well, so he might be out for a couple of weeks as well. So that could be a huge loss for Galway. But a great game against Galway, or sorry, against Roscommon. They're probably delighted to be back in the horse because that Galway team have gone through a lot of criticism in recent weeks. It'll be very interesting to see what way they shape up against the Dubs this weekend, because obviously big pressure on try maybe get over the line, but obviously big pressure in Dublin to probably win it too. But it was a great win for them, and I think Roscommon's in trouble now. And obviously Stevie Poach's first year, I've alluded to him in podcasts, so he'll not be happy with where Galway or Roscommon are at. So a bit of a relegation playoff really is what they're looking at now, and so they went up last year, and it looked like they'll be going back down again, and Aaron, but it looks things now.
Yeah, definitely an interesting one. Like, I suppose with the Shane Walsh injury, I haven't heard anything myself, but I suppose, yeah, there definitely could be something there. And I suppose if he is injured, that could definitely be a big worry for Galway. I suppose, like, obviously they brought Tom O'Callaghan off the bench, like he scored a late goal, and a few of the other young lads. I suppose with Galway, it kind of looks more like they're in a bit of transition maybe at the moment, just kind of bringing through some of those lads from the under 20 team last year. Like that, I suppose definitely a lot of potential in that Galway team anyways.
Oh yeah, like 100%. And like, look, Park Joyce he's a smooth operator, and he obviously sees a big project up there in Galway, and rightly so. We seen them in the under 20 final against Dublin in the All Ireland last year, and there's serious potential. And you're probably looking at a few of the Cork boys to probably try and nip in again, but it's probably just there is that bit of added pressure on the likes of Walsh, Comer to deliver the goods for Galway, but there is plenty of other players for Galway. But a few boys stepped away, the likes of Ian Burke and various players like that. No, Galway have always had good nippy forwards, but it's probably keeping them lads on board, and they probably do have a lot of kind of overturning players. Like you always hear of Galway lads quitting and stepping away from panels, but it seems to be a project with Park Joyce. He's, as you say, he's adding in young lads and kind of get something going up there. So I can see Park Joyce getting a couple of years out of that Galway gig. I can't, like, obviously, like, he's a Galway legend, but I can see him getting a couple of years because due to the fact that he's bringing in young lads, he's building a system up there, and it probably will take time because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, geez, this, that, and the other with Galway at the minute." But I feel it's a couple of years project that Park Joyce is working up there, and it's an exciting one to watch because Galway were always a great team to watch.
Yeah, and I suppose moving across to Division 1 North, we Donegal 120, Monaghan 411. Very entertaining game. I suppose Conor McCarthy with 3 goals inside 20 minutes. I mean, like, obviously we were saying the Dublin Kerry game was a contender maybe for game of the year. I suppose this one definitely not far behind either.
Serious game of ball, absolutely serious game of ball, and you couldn't call it throughout. I think I was watching a clip of John McMahon saying Monaghan were going to win, and I nearly laughed because I would have put the house on Donegal to win it the weekend gone in. It's a very interesting narrative in terms of Michael Murphy. When he's not about, where did Donegal go towards? Because Paddy McGrearty is a great player, but is he the man that will lead the charge when Mr. Murphy's injured or when he's not about? So McGrearty can sometimes blow hot and cold, and it was very, like, I think the main thing was when Michael Murphy went off injured at the weekend, everyone probably said to themselves, right, now let's see how good Donegal are, and it just didn't look like they had their house in order. It goes to show how much of a leader he is, and I think I said this to someone before. It will be very interesting to see when he does pack his bags who the replacement will be. I know Michael Lankett scored an outrageous goal at the weekend, but it's, it will be interesting to see. Follow that. Monaghan brought on Conor McMahon in the second half. I think he got a goal and a point, but he was taking, like, it's like anything else. Monaghan don't seem to be able to finish games off. They had that game on Saturday. They brought on McManus to probably win it for them or just make it comfortable for them. He took a lot of rash shots, kicked a couple of wides. They will be kicking themselves, and it's a good draw against the Donegal team. But at the end of the day, when Michael Murphy went off, I don't think they really cashed in on that. McCarthy was pretty quiet, fantastic, well done to him getting the hat, but I think he just went quiet in the second half. And I think Monaghan will just be disappointed because just can't seem to see games out, just like the game against us last October. They had that game, and look what happened.
Yeah, and I suppose like for Donegal, I mean, you wouldn't normally associate Donegal with having defensive issues. Like they only conceded 2 goals in the entirety of the Ulster Championship last year. But obviously, I suppose with Michael Murphy going off, I know obviously he plays, as a forward, but I suppose there definitely seemed to be a lot of disorganization there. And I suppose you've Neil McGee, who's obviously 35 years of age, and you are looking at that Donegal defence and you're kind of thinking maybe do they need to freshen it up, I suppose.
They probably do. And like, look, I think Eamon McGee pulled away from the county panel a couple of years ago, and Neil's still hanging about there. Fair play to him, but is it just time for new blood? And a lot of the Donegal kind of stalwarts kind of have packed their bags in recent years, and it's an interesting one. It seems to be similar enough with Kerry, obviously, with being very loose at the back, but it will be interesting to see what Donegal maybe can do for the future to blood new lads in, because there doesn't seem to be a problem in the midfield and forward department, but go at the back, Donegal probably are a bit faulty. So, you have Murphy when he is playing, he's got back, he's in midfield, and like he's going up front. So he'll be a massive ball. He's a couple of years to go, but if he's injured now with the hamstring, that'll be interesting for this weekend as well. So yeah, probably a lot for Declan Bonner to be thinking about this weekend, and for the years ahead as well, because the likes of Neil McGee, like he's hanging on in there. And if Neil McGee was to pack the bags, Donegal would be fairly loose at the back.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose moving on from that, you've Armagh and Tyrone. Obviously, Armagh 210, Tyrone 215. I suppose there was definitely an opportunity there for Armagh to win this game. Like that Stephen Campbell missed penalty, I think they would have went 4 points up if he had scored that. And then Tyrone just showed their experience, I suppose, to come back and win it. In the end, a good win for Tyrone, but definitely a missed opportunity for Armagh.
It was. And McGeaney and Donaghy probably would just be overly happy with that as well. And I think Brian Dewar and Fergal Logan definitely needed that first loose win. But Armagh did have chances, but it just goes to show that bit of class with the Tyrone forwards, one of them. I think what is his name? Darren McCurry was absolutely brilliant, got man of the match, and Petey Hart scored a worldly of a goal. So old dogs for the hard road. As you say, that bit of class from Tyrone, it'll be good to see. Well, maybe we're blaming the championships, so hopefully the whole fire, but maybe for the league games for the remainder, we'll see the good forwards for Tyrone coming through, and rightly so. One thing I think Kyle Coney was saying to me a couple of weeks ago, we'll be seeing a lot more kick pass from Tyrone. We've seen that at the weekend, more elusive play, more better football, none of this defensive nonsense. Points dropped for Armagh. A lot of people going on about the O'Neill's brothers, the good games at the weekend, and the penalty miss as well. You can't be doing that against Tyrone. They'll eat you up and swallow you. So yeah, like a lot for probably Geezer and Mr. Donaghy to work on. And there seems to be big expectation up in the Orchard County for the Ulster title this year to even get to a final. So big stuff. It was probably an opportunity lost, but just that bit of class by Tyrone, the cuteness, and just good solid forward play, won the game for them. And Darren McCurry, if he gets more game time and keeps himself fit, he will be a serious asset to Tyrone this year.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose for Armagh, like I don't know, like especially in that second half, they just seemed to really retract into more of a defensive shell and try and like defend what they got. Like it seemed like Rian O'Neill was more isolated in the full forward line, and they seemed to run out of ideas, I felt, in many ways. But I think for Tyrone, like definitely if they can get those forwards firing and potentially bring, Colin McShane back in, who knows? Like we could end up with a situation where maybe Tyrone play a Dublin in a league semi-final. So that would definitely be an interesting one.
Definitely, yeah. Like I think I've alluded to this a couple of times. If Tyrone can get this kind of forward line of the likes of McShane, Conor McKenna, Darren McCurry, Peter Canavan's son Dara Cavan there is serious threat going up front, and something that should definitely be probably fear from other counties. But yeah, there's so much talent up in Tyrone and so many good forwards. Like, and I was talking to Kyle, as I said, a couple of weeks ago, and geez, he could even still be about there if he did commit for another year or two. But yeah, definitely. And it's I suppose we're just looking at teams who could challenge the Dubs. Tyrone have tried over the years, just didn't work out for them the last couple of times, but they definitely seem like they have the ammo this time. Lots of quality there. As I said, there's more kick passing being involved, none of this defensive stuff. So, as you said, if they can get the likes of McShane, Conor McKenna back, flying, Tyrone could be a serious asset this year, Aaron.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose moving on to Division 2, we'll run through some of the games there. I suppose Division 2 South, I mean, there was a huge win for Clare over Kildare, 113 to 13 points. I mean, Clare definitely causing a lot of scalps already this year. Obviously, well, I suppose Laois probably not the biggest scalp, but beating Kildare, 2 wins from 2, and they're set now for a promotion playoff.
Yeah, serious win for them. And Collins can really give pat himself in the back because he's doing a tremendous job up there. And fair play to him. He has the Clare lads absolutely flying. Big scalp. Big disappointment for Mr. Jack O'Connor in Kildare. Big expectations up there. Is it a project he's working on? Is the players around for him this year? It's hard to know, but a massive win for Clare. A promotion playoff, that's huge. That would be absolutely huge for Clare football, and it's probably come out of nowhere. Real hat tip to Colin Collins. He's doing absolutely brilliant work up there, and a massive win. But just when you probably look from Kildare's perspective, if they want to be maybe competing in Leinster finals, getting the latter stages of All Ireland, they shouldn't really be being bet by Clare, because at the end of the day, if you want to be competing at the top table, they're the kind of games you have to be winning, Aaron.
Yeah, it seems like with Kildare, they always seem to have one of these results in them. Like they can go and beat a Cork and then lose to a Clare, just like in 2018 they lost to Carlow and then went and beat Mayo in the qualifiers. Like I don't know what it is with them, whether it's a mentality thing within the team at different times, but certainly a lot for Jack O'Connor to work on, because the potential is there. Like you've seen it with Jimmy Hyland and Derek Kirwan and even Neil Flynn at wingback, who's very talented, but just at the moment anyways, like they just seem to have this kind of mishap in them every now and again.
They do. Like, and it's probably sustaining a lot of these players as well. Like, and you see a lot of lads kind of drifting away. I don't know if Daniel Flynn's part of things at the minute. Like, he's an absolute baller for Kildare. So it's just probably kind of, as you say, you're after referencing Highland and a couple of them lads as well. Like, they're great players, but it could just be a belief thing with Kildare. It could just be, I think it's a hard thing. I don't know. Look, it's hard to read county players' mindsets, but it's a hard thing to probably, if you want to be getting Leinster finals, Leinster semi-finals, it's probably hard from Kildare's point of view, because at the end of the day, Dublin's dominance in Leinster. So, you're setting out for another year. You're competing in the league. You have a couple of near misses. You have a couple of wins. You come on to Leinster. You play the likes of Laois. You might beat Laois. You come up against the Dubs. Dubs hammer you by 16 or 17 points. Season over. So it's a hard sort of, probably for another day's conversation, but it's a hard way to kind of get your mentality switched, because it's so disheartening when Dubs do just hammer you in Croke Park. It's a woeful feeling a lot of county teams have kind of experienced over the years, and just doesn't do the confidence any good. So probably a lot of the Kildare boys weighed a lot of things up over the years. Like, we've seen retirements likes of Leper Callahan and Emma Bolton kind of stepping away in recent years. They probably had a couple of years to go, and they just said that Leinster's just too hard to compete in. They're not really going anywhere with it. So it's probably a belief thing in Kildare. And Jack probably does have a big job at his hands at the end of the day, and
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose for Cork, like they obviously needed to bounce back, obviously after losing to Kildare, and obviously they beat Laois, of course, 2-12 to 10 points. I suppose a good response from Cork after last weekend, anyways.
Sorry, Aaron, I was just going to call there. What was the question?
No, but it was just it was in relation to the Cork win over Laois. So Cork obviously 2-12, Laois 10 points. Obviously Cork responding obviously to last week's defeat over Kildare. So what did you make of that victory?
Yes, it's a serious win for Cork footballers, and like there's probably a lot of pressure and a lot of talk about this kind of sponsorship coming in from Sports Direct, and it's a football mad county, it's population. So look, it's about, like I was saying to Daniel Crudeney during the week, they need to really cash in when the sun is shining and really kind of rubber stamp themselves into Division 1 football. Like, population, everything goes with Cork football over the years. That's a standard win at the weekend. They need to build on it. I think me and you, talked numerous times about Cork football. They really need to kind of drive home these wins, have big long runs in the Munster Championship, big long runs in the All Ireland. Because at the end of the day, massive population, lots of money coming in. They really should be working hard and trying to get to that next level.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and I suppose bringing Luke Connolly back into the team as well, Kieran Sheehan. Like, I think maybe some experience is probably needed for the team with some of the players that they brought in. I suppose from a Laois point of view, I suppose it's very hard to see how they avoid relegation. Like, even looking at Division 2 North, which we'll get onto in a moment. I mean, it's going to be tough for them to stay in Division 2.
Oh yeah, look, it will, and I suppose it's all about progression. I suppose, just in a league campaign to kind of stay up, and I think for the development of the county, you do need to probably be competing in Division 2 and 3. But at the end of the day, you have the likes of ourselves, Derry, Fermanagh in Division 3. So look, as long as you don't slump down to Division 4, it's not all panic stations. Division 3 football is competitive. At the end of the day, Laois probably are a Division 3 team, really, because when you're looking you're looking at Division 2 there, you've likes of Mayo, you've Down, various teams like that. So Division 3 is not the worst, and you can build blocks in it. We need to kind of build blocks in it ourselves to kind of get back up again. So it's not the end of the world. And at the end of the day, I think Mike Cork probably would be happy with result in Division 3, because Division 2 is a difficult place to be in as well, Aaron,
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose obviously Division 2 North, I mean, there was definitely some interesting games there. I suppose Mayo getting a 3-point win over Westmeath, 12 to 21 points. I suppose it was a tight game. I watched it myself. There was definitely an opportunity there for Westmeath. I thought at one stage they were going to pull off a shock, but I suppose Mayo's experience in the end was just the big difference.
Yeah, your relations let you down, Aaron.
yeah, we should have got them on the pitch.
Look, a very, very tight game on Saturday. Not one probably everyone expected. Fair play to the Westmeath footballers. There's obviously serious work being done up there, and they're getting there. They're building something, and it's great to see. Mayo really, if they've big intentions this year, they really should have been winning that game by 6 or 7 points. It didn't turn out like that. And they probably should have coasted home to victory, and fair play to Westmeath, because it was just an exciting game to start off the weekend. James Horn's probably happy enough to kind of just get over the line, but at the end of the day, if Mayo, as I said, if they've intentions of winning the Connacht titles, All Ireland titles this year, Aaron, they need to be beating Westmeath by more points than that, and it shouldn't have really been tight as it was. But fair play to Westmeath, and they can take great credit from that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, they definitely defended very well. And I know, like, defensive systems get a lot of criticism sometimes, but I think, if you can find ways to win those kind of games, and I know they didn't, but, if they had beaten Meath, if they had seen that game out, and then if they had seen Mayo out, I mean, that would have been two huge scalps. But I suppose for them, like, it's always, like, with the Leinster Championship, it's always going to be tough. So I suppose the league is always going to be their main priority, and obviously avoiding relegation now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's probably the league campaign, and they've had great success in leagues over the years, and they've won various league titles. But it's probably look, a game. I tell you what, though, a game like that against Mayo on Saturday will do their confidence the world of good, because they're probably thinking to themselves, right, we can put it up to the big boys. We're building something here. The likes of Jerry Egan, John Heston, absolutely fine for Westmeath at the minute. So it's brilliant from their point of view. We played them last year in Division 2, and they're a very solid team. Westmeath always had big lads. So, it'd be great to see if they could kind of come up a few levels and, compete in the league, and, have a good enough journey, I suppose, in Leinster. I know how tough it can be, but just kind of consolidate that, build and likes, and just really kind of just, I suppose, wrap John Heston and Jerry and the boys up a cut wall, and just kind of utilize them players, because they've been massive over the years, and it'd be great. It'd be great just to kind of have another team to kind of challenge the likes of Mayo and the likes of potentially Dublin in the future. But yeah, a great game for them on Saturday, and they can take great belief from it.
And I suppose Meath, they beat down 215 to 14 points. I suppose Killian O'Sullivan, like, his second goal, I don't know if you've seen on the Sunday game, like, quality stuff. He just completely ran around the keeper, put it in the back of the net. It was a brilliant finish. But I suppose for Meath in the end, like in the Westmeath game, I thought they were a little bit sluggish at times, but I suppose still a lot of work to do, but I suppose at least they've sealed that promotion playoff place now anyways.
Yeah, fair play to Meath. And like, that was obviously going to be a tight game against Down, and a lot of people thought it was going to be tight, and turned out to be. Meath have always, and I'll always say this, have always had talent forwards likes of, well, from years gone by, likes the Words and Joe Sheridan, and great players. So Meath, as I've always said it, very, very proud footballing county. Good win at the weekend, and as you said, they're in Division 1 last year. Probably just didn't get much joy of results, and probably went straight down again. And it just does make you think: are the Division 1 team, can they believe in themselves? Can they consolidate Division 1 football? can they get up to the high powers that is, Leinster Championship? Can they compete against the Dubs? Is something we're all kind of crying out for from a Meath footballing team, and it'd be great to see. There's a lot of young lads involved as well, and they're flying for them. So there's no excuses for Meath really now. The time probably is now for them to make that step up and hopefully give the noisy neighbours a bit of a rattle.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure they'd love that anyways, but I'm not too sure about myself. But sure, we'll see what happens. I suppose for Down, I mean, like obviously, they received a lot of criticism from Colin O'Rourke on the Sunday game. He was kind of laying into them a bit, like, and I didn't watch the game, so I can't really speak too much about them. But I suppose it's disappointment from them, like 2 defeats, and they never really ever look like threatening. I suppose, like, at least for Westmeath, they showed a lot of positive signs, but for Down, it's not looking too good at the moment.
Which is quite mad, because like they ran us so close in the Ulster semi-final last year, and you just got to think, where is that performance gone from last year? Why can't they repeat that? And Down, it's like anything else, probably similar to me. They always had very exciting attacking players, but it's Down can be a very funny footballing county. Like the likes of, even like a lot of players pulled away over the years for mad reasons. Like the likes of Benny Coulter, Mark Poland, and Conor Lafferty, a lot of them boys just stepped away, and I don't Down never really got raises for them. I think obviously maybe the race at the end of the road, but just as similar, they were always a great team back in the 90s, and it's hard to know when they will ever get back to them heights. Like I was talking to Johnny Hughes a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying there's probably not enough being done in the likes of the schools, the underage teams, and which is kind of mad to believe, because Down is a terrific footballing county, have always had great players, and it's looking like Division 3 football next year, Aaron.
Yeah, it's definitely swinging towards anyway at the moment. And I suppose Division 3 North, I suppose we'll start with your own county, Cavan. Obviously a 6-point win over Longford, 119 to 113. I didn't watch the game myself now, so I didn't see anything from it, but what was your opinion on the game in the end? I suppose you got the victory.
Yeah, it's off air. Especially after last week, just absolute relief. And it could have, it could have been a banana skin, because Longford maybe kind of have caused us a bit of trouble over the years, but a great win, very positive. I think, as I was saying last week, Paddy Lynch, I think he basically, did he get a black card? I think he got nearly all the full game. He was very good. Ray Galligan kicked some great points along the sideline. Grove McKernan got a great goal. We played to our powers, like, and for some parts of that game, I think we phases. We played in good kind of phases. We kind of for some parts, like we had really good 5 to 10 minutes where we could score about 4 or 5 points, and then maybe they can let Longford back into the game as well. And like Longford, to the credit, had some really good forwards on show. Rian Brady, Robbie Smith inside, Mickey Quinn. We all know with Mickey Quinn. So Longford causes a lot of bother inside, and probably something for us to work on as well, and asked a lot of questions. But just pure and utter relief for Mickey and the lads, like especially that Fermanagh game. Obviously, a lot of hurt from that, so it was just great to get over the line against them. Big game, obviously, this weekend. But yeah, overall, happy enough. High scoring game. Again, another great advertisement for Gaelic football. The league's absolutely flying at the minute. And Mickey would just be happy with his lot, probably conceding that amount. But in fairness, as I was saying, Longford had a lot of tasty forwards, caused us a lot of bother. So fair play to Longford, given the Breffni men a good game on Saturday.
Yeah, 100%. Like they definitely must have like put up a good fight, all right. And I suppose from a Longford point of view, like it's going to be hard for them to I suppose see how they avoid relegation at this point. Like obviously Fermanagh already have 2 points, and I suppose they'd be the favourites, I suppose, going into that game. But we'll get onto Fermanagh in a moment. But I suppose for Longford, it's they were so close to potentially getting to Division 2 last year, and now it looks like they could very well find themselves in Division 4.
Yeah, like it's just this league football's a funny thing, but it's just like it's mad, because they actually, as I said, there's some very good pacey forwards like Rian Brady. Hopefully we'll hear more about him in the future. Very smart player. Robbie Smith, we know all about him, the Abilara man, great inside man, and of course we know with Mickey Quinn. So there is talent there. There is absolutely talent there. It's just it probably was all about consolidating Division 3. As you say, it's probably looking like relegation potentially at this stage, and probably disappointment, because Mickey Quinn, they're all proud footballing men down there, and to go down would probably be great disappointment for them because, there's a lot of tasty players and you just kind of wonder if there was maybe more Molineux lads in. I don't think there is at the minute for some reason, but a lot to build on. There's a big thing to build on there, and it'd be interesting to see can Longford kind of push on, maybe get a win in Leinster and kind of push on because it's definitely very exciting game on Saturday. Asked us a lot of questions and it'll be interesting to see what way they end up.
Yeah, and I suppose for Derry, I mean, what a huge win that was, 5-13 to 9 points. I mean, a phenomenal victory for Derry, like with Shane McGuigan scoring 2-5. I was watching back some of the game there earlier today. I mean, they're a phenomenal team altogether, like especially with Conor Glass coming in. I mean, what a way to start.
Class, absolutely class. And it's a massive game for ourselves and them this weekend, and it blew it away because I was so focused probably on the Cavan game, and I looked at the result and I could not believe my eyes, especially for Manny's performance last week. I honestly could not believe my eyes, but it was brilliant and fair play to Derry. In fairness, they're gaining momentum. It's a worrying thing probably coming into this weekend, but just that Fermanagh performance staggers belief because maybe it probably sums up where Fermanagh football's been at over the years. Beat a big run and then maybe just go out and not perform the next day and just shoot a low score. As you said, I haven't really seen much highlights of the game, so I can't comment a whole pile on it. But maybe Sean Quigley, I think he must have been quiet. Shane McGuigan shot the lights out again. Conor Glass is massive. So Rory Gallagher seems like he's building something up there, and he was probably happy enough to see put one over his former charges.
Yeah, definitely. And like, to be fair to Sean Quigley, he did hit 7 points, so he did actually have an impressive game, to be fair to him. But definitely, I'm not too sure what happened with Fermanagh, right? Because even when you look at some of their league performances last year, and even though they lost every game, they were still always very competitive. There was still always a couple of points in it. Definitely, it was a strange one, the way they kind of just started chipping in a lot of those goals, in particular in the second half. So definitely, I suppose a lot for Fermanagh to work on going into the Longford game.
Yeah, tongue twister.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's so funny because I think I was saying to my mate, I just looked at my phone and I could not believe the amount of goals they conceded because a Ryan McMahon team, one of the best defenders to play the game, and it just leaked that amount of goals. He'll not be happy this week. They have a lot to work on. But again, I didn't see many stats of the game. Sean Quigley shooting lights out again, but obviously being on the wrong side of the result. But Derry look like they want goals this year. Derry look like they want to play an attacking brand of football. They're the right lads to do it, and it's a mouth-watering game this weekend against themselves.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose you've Offaly and Limerick then, obviously in Division 3 South. Moving on to some of them games, I suppose a 2-point win for Offaly over Limerick in the end. I was kind of watching it in the background on Saturday, but I suppose huge step for Offaly. Like they're very much set now for a promotion playoff after that win.
Yeah, fair play to them. Like I think I seen a picture of Niall McNamee still shooting lights out for the mighty Offaly men, and God, he just seems like he's a timeless player. He's an absolute credit to himself, keeping on going. And he's had his kind of things in the past, and he's shooting the lights out. Fair play to him. And John McMahon, he's doing a superb job up there. We know all about him. He's a legend of the game. And Offaly they're in good stead at the minute, hurling and football. And Shane Lowry's coming in to back them as well. So Offaly are definitely a team to keep an eye on. They've always good players, and that the likes of Anton Sullivan, Niall McNamee, and I wouldn't be surprised if they could maybe go up the division. It'll be very, very interesting. Limerick point of view, they'll be disappointed with that result. Maybe they want to have a bit of a run in Munster this year, and it's a poor result for them. I know they're good win against Tipperary last week, but it's all to play for in Division 3, Aaron, and it's going to be a very, very exciting couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely all to play for, all right, because obviously Tipperary got their first win in the season as well. It was definitely probably a lot closer than people thought. Like only a 3-point margin in the end. It was 212 to 112 over Wicklow. Wicklow definitely showed a lot of spirit and a lot of fight in that game. But I suppose for Tipperary getting their first win of the season, like much needed for Tipperary.
Definitely, yeah. And even kind of build on last year as well. And they'll be hurt from last weekend against Limerick. So they needed to get a win like ourselves, and we both got the win. So a great win for them. Obviously, we know the quality of Conor Sweeney and Mickey Quinlivan, probably on their day, probably the most exciting forwards in the country. So they'll be leading the line this year. And I think Conor Sweeney had a great game at the weekend, and he's back fully fit and ready to go. So a good win for them, just to get that bit of confidence, get the monkey off the back, and just that elusive first win. And like I don't know what, it's just such relief to get the first win, even from a Cavan point of view, because it gets the monkey off the back. You feel like you're ready to go for the year, and just a good solid win for them.
Yeah, 100%. And I suppose we'll run through Division 4 North. Obviously, there was a win for Antrim over Sligo, and obviously Louth beat Leitrim. I suppose for Antrim, and obviously your good friend Kevin McGurty, I suppose, will be very happy after that victory, because it was like, I actually watched the game and it looked like at different points that Sligo were going to potentially win that game. Like they had a lead going in towards the end, but in the end, Antrim and Enda McGinley, I suppose, just showing that bit of class and experience to get over the line. And Paddy Cunningham as well, like that point at the end was next level stuff.
Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. And I think someone said it was similar to that Kieran McDonald point against Dublin in the All-Ireland semi in 2006. Absolutely terrific. As I said, old dog for the hard road. Paddy's had his struggles with illness in the last while, and it's great to see him fighting fit. Wearing the Adidas Mini is just a wee tribute to them as well. What a boot. But no, fair play to him. Absolutely terrific. Antrim look like they're on the rise. A good win against Clare in the hurling. 2 wins in a row. Fair play to them. They look like they're seriously building. And again, another great game of football. So high scoring. Went down to the last minute. Paddy Cunningham's bit of class at the end, and just really exciting stuff. That's Division 4 football. The standards high, the quality's high, and great win for the Antrim footballers. And as you said, my controversial friend Kevin will be happy with the win. Yeah,
100%. Yeah, and I suppose for Louth, obviously a win over Leitrim, first win of the season, and first win as a Louth manager for Mickey Hart. Much needed for Louth.
Yeah, definitely, and even for Mickey and Forrest Devlin to get that first win, and Mickey will be delighted with it. And I suppose it's a very interesting project up there. I suppose it raised a lot of eyebrows when he did get the job, and it will be interesting to see what he does with them. And obviously, a great win, gets the monkey off the back for Mickey and the Louth lads. They've been working probably very hard the last couple of weeks, and Mickey will be delighted. And he'll move forward to this week. It will be a very interesting project to see what he will do with them for the next couple of years ahead, because I'm presuming it's a long-term project with him. It's not a year or two thing. And great to get the first win for him. Yeah,
100%. And I suppose you had Waterford and Wexford. I didn't see any of the game, but I suppose, I mean, that was a surprising one, because you think back to Wexford football teams down the years, like 10 years ago in a Leinster final. I know they've drifted quite a bit, but I suppose massive credit to Waterford winning that 213 to 18 points.
Yeah, like it's absolutely staggering to believe that, really, Aaron, because I was talking to PJ Banville there a couple of weeks ago, and he was a quality player for Wexford, and it's just a shocking result for them. Let's not sugarcoat this. Wexford football years ago were very high standard. Matty Ford, the likes of PJ Banville, Kieran Ling, some of the best forwards we've seen, and it's just not being done at grassroots level. And PJ alluded to that in the podcast before. A shocking result, very, very bad. Wexford football we're talking about here, some of the best forwards, like it sets them back so much. Division 4 football, in the peak of their powers, Wexford were a Division 1, Division 2 team back in the day. Division 4, it's not where they want to be. I know Paul Galvin came out and criticised Davy Fitzgerald there last week, but look, if Paul Galvin had a bit of metal about him and wanted to make an impression, he would have stayed longer. He hit the road and just got out of there. So I don't think Galvin is really in the right position to be commented on it, because he didn't hang around for the bad times, and he's probably just has the feet up, sitting looking at his bloody Mercs and his private jets and all now, whereas he could be doing a bit of work with the Wexford lads. So he doesn't have much of a place to be commented, unfortunately, Aaron, from my point of view anyway. But just a bad result sets the Wexford footballers in a bad stead again, and just very bad. But again, fair play to Waterford, great win for them. Not one that we all expected, and great to get the win for them.
Yeah, 100%. Like, is it definitely, because obviously the way that division is, there's only 3 teams, obviously, because of London aren't there. So Waterford have played all their league games now, so it just depends on how the Wexford Carlow game goes. But I suppose for Waterford, like, that leaves them in a fantastic position to potentially, go into a promotion playoff. And I suppose that's the nature of the National League this year, is that, I suppose you're potentially 1 win away just from getting promoted to Division 3. Like, we wouldn't have been expecting that after the Carlow game last weekend anyways.
No, definitely not. And like to be fair, like I was only thinking there, it'd be great to see if a couple of new teams go up and just kind of maybe make a bit of a stamp of football, because it's probably just got that bit boring in terms of all just standard teams winning. The likes of Waterford, that would be absolutely brilliant. And just it'd be great to see, and even the likes of Carlow maybe making a bit of a rise, and Carlow rising, but and even like with the Antrim lads getting 2 wins in a row, like that'll do them fantastic confidence. And like even look, I did like even regarding Antrim there, like Enda McGinley and Stevie O'Neill, probably two of the best players in Ulster back in the day. Like they've so much to kind of teach the Antrim lads, and it's great to see down there too. So Division 4, couple of teams on the rise. You have some of the Mickey Hart managing the team, Enda McGinley. You have some serious pedigree in Division 4. So hopefully a couple of new teams can kind of come from it. But I kind of be interested, you can hear your perspective. I know maybe you're going to touch on it, but the Wexford footballers, Aaron, it's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, 100%. It's definitely, like, I haven't seen them play enough in the past while, and I'll hopefully maybe get a chance to, because I have a GA go past there, so maybe I'll have a chance to go back and have a look at the Waterford Wexford game. But yeah, it's definitely sad, all right, because I remember being at the 2011 Leinster final, like when they of course got beaten by Dublin, and they actually should have beaten Dublin that day. Like they had a number of chances, and Ben Brosnan for me, like on that day, was sublime, and he's been probably one of my favorite footballers actually over the past 10 years or so. And you think of Matty Ford as well. So I don't know what's going on with Wexford at the moment. Like they've just really, it seems like, I know sometimes it's a cliche where we say like counties have hit rock bottom, but for Wexford, I just don't think it can get much worse than this. And like Waterford and Wexford do share a bit of a rivalry down the years in hurling, like they're neighbours and all the rest. So I know for the Waterford folk that do follow football, it'll be huge for them. But for Wexford, like it's just it's bleak times at the moment, unfortunately.
I know 100% it is. Like, and that's like I was always saying to PJ Bandel a couple of weeks ago. Like there's not working. Like I know hurling is the massive thing up in Wexford, and always will be. But if Wexford want to be competing at the top table again, there needs to be work done at the grassroots levels within the school. Because I think I asked PJ as well. Were you ever asked him in school to coach, whatever, and no one gives ever approach, no nothing at all, and the likes of. Like, I think Matty Ford was even strong with his criticism of the Wexford football current state of affairs, and I think Paul Galvin had Matty in. I think Matty had to leave due to work commitment. So just a lot of chopping and change going on up there. Wexford were always a good team to watch over the years, and it's just looking very, very bleak at the minute. And you would wonder. First, I know Paul Galvin did have his kind of comments, but Davy Fitz, is it just a bit domineering up there? Is it just so hurling orientated? Are the footballers just given a raw deal? It's just very disappointing to see, because at the end of the day, you don't want to see a proud footballing county like Wexford rot away, Aaron,
Yeah, 100%. Like, and they definitely have always had like a strong hurling background, but definitely in football they have as well. Like, when you think back to the 2000s and everything else, like, and obviously they made an All-Ireland semi-final at one point as well. So it's hard to know like what the fix will be for them. Like maybe even a situation, like I know they turned to Paul Galvin, but maybe that's what Wexford need to do is definitely bleed in a lot more of some of the older guard, like your Matty Fords or your PJ Banvilles, and maybe even do a Kildare or something like that, where they go and they get like another experienced manager and bring him in just to steady the ship for 1 or 2 seasons. Because when you look at players like Ben Brosnan in their team, like they definitely have the potential to get up to Division 3. And look, they could easily be Carlow. It's not inconceivable, but it's definitely going to be tough for them at the moment.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, and it's just disappointing, because as you said, 2011 Leinster final, 2008, I think they got to was the All Ireland semi final against Tyrone. So like that's where Wexford football should be at. Like, and it's just so hard to know what is actually going on up there. Like, I know I've got thoughts and opinions from like various former players, and no better men to ask probably, but it's a very bleak. And as you say, to get maybe the fourth likes of Kieran Ning or some of the boys kind of back in, and just kind of get that bit of confidence in again. And I don't know, even try approach Matty Ford again, because like no better man to probably learn from. The lads love to see him about the place. Just get him in as a coach. Try, like, I know his job work and all can be busy, but just to try get a voice from him, because he's probably Wexford's best ever player, just to get him around the place and coach and forwards coach, anything at all, Aaron, because you just wouldn't like to see them slip away, as I said.
100%. Yeah, like we'll definitely have to keep an eye on it anyways. But yeah, look, listen, John. Anyway, cheers for coming on. I'll link down your podcast down below. I tend to listen, to the different reviews and previews. So I definitely recommend anyone listening to this to go and check it out. So yeah, look, listen, cheers, John, for coming on.
Cheers, Aaron. A lot more positive this week.
yeah, absolutely. Hopefully the Dubs can get back to winning ways and end the streak of not winning. The 1 game streak.
That's what I was talking about.